So polite. Hi, everybody. Thank you for gathering with me tonight. I'm really excited just to be here and be together and breathe and share and create some intentionality into where we're heading. And people are still trickling in, so I'm just going to kind of let this moment linger. And I'm Zara Indigo. I know many of you personally, and some of you I hope to meet in person someday. And there was like 44 people who registered for Zoom, so I don't know how many of all of those 44 are going to show up tonight. But I was pleasantly surprised to see so many want to come and sit in the sacred way with me. So give it one more minute, and then we'll just really just sink into it. See, right as I said that, someone hopped in. So when I first started this idea, one of my students was like, I'd like to have a class on altars. And so I was like, sure, that would be super fun to create a class on altars. Thank you for that inspiration. And so I started creating a class on altars. And as I was creating this class on altars and wanting to put it onto this day, I'm like, this isn't a class. This is really just an opportunity for us to ignite our altars together, both individually in our own homes, but also in this kind of collective way. So I'm really glad that I changed my mind from it being some kind of class thing where I have to sit here and be a teacher to being an offering where we're all people around the globe together. And not too long ago, a friend who is in Australia, she's like, well, for us, it's not the winter. Will this apply to us too? And I was like, of course it will. Please join us. And there she is, right as I said that, she popped into the call. Perfect. And so I realized that it is the solstice. This is the solstice gathering, and we have people here from the northern hemisphere, those of us that are entering into our winter, and we have people here in the southern hemisphere who are entering into the peak of their summer. And so we're going to be holding both poles, right? Both ends of that in this honoring, because all of us, regardless of whether we're in the summer or the winter, we're moving around this planet together, right? Right now, around the sun as one people, regardless of where we stand on the earth, we are all part of it. Um, so I just wanted to share that much about how I ended up here and ended up with all of you joining me. And and I guess one piece I'll say about this slide that we're looking at is there are two deities represented here, but one of them is represented in his two forms. And the one on the left with the gold, she's Ma'at, and she represents truth. So as we enter into tonight, I ask that truth watch over us and guide us and hold us and provide the foundation for the altar that we're creating together tonight. And then this other fellow here that's a baboon and an ibis, this is Thoth, or Jehute is his original name before he was Greekized. No bad on the Greeks, they did lots of good, but I like the original names better, Jehute. So he is our wisdom keeper. He's the one that brings the wisdom forward and helps us remember. He writes it down, right? He's a scribe tracking all that was, is, and will be. And so I ask that he watch over us and help spread whatever's happening with us here today in a good way around this globe, from north to south, from winter to summer, all in one night. My hope tonight is to have some introductions so we can just pop around, whoever feels like introducing yourself. I'm not going to make it mandatory in any way, but if you want to say hello and where you are. And then I'm going to talk about Hotep and what that is, and we can share about Solstice. And because this isn't about a class and about me, anything that anybody has to add into any of this is beautiful and welcome. And raise your hand, open your mic, open your voice, share whatever comes through. We're at this time of a conjunction right now, which is pretty amazing. So I want to take some time to just sink into that and feel into what that means for us. because it was originally asked, you know, a class on an altar, I took all these pictures of different aspects of my altar. And so I just wanted to share pictures to see different ways that my altar, same elements, have manifested in different ways. And then we're going to create our altar together. So I invited you to gather some things to have with you tonight. And if you don't have those things, that's fine. You can create it in your imagination, right? You can create an altar in our mind's eye in whatever way you want to do that. So we'll do that. And then we're going to do a little journey together to a place called Abu Ghraib. And Abu Ghraib is a sun temple in Egypt. And it's a pretty amazing place. And I'll tell you more about it when we get there. But that will be where we collect together, all of us gather in that place together with our altars that we create, our little hoteps, and we'll put it on that altar in this journey and set an intention really both for ourselves as individuals for this next 3-month cycle of the turning of the seasons, but also a collective visioning that we're all putting our altars together in this way at this time as things are turning and changing and manifesting in new ways. So that's my hope for tonight. And like I said, please pop in, raise your hand, open your mic. You know, I prefer not to be interrupted, but if you really need to interrupt me, go for it, right? Because this is about us. This isn't just about me and what's coming out of my mouth. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all showing up with me tonight. So the first thing, many of you know this, and some of you did this with me just this morning, but it's become this container for whenever I enter into work with people, and it just holds us in a beautiful way. So you're welcome to read it out loud wherever you are. You can open your mic even if you want, and let's just share this honoring together and just receive it and feel it and whatever it means for you, okay? Oh, before we do that, I want to just thank you, Jaya, for this beautiful stage that you gifted this house. And now I'm sharing with all of you. And as we begin to go into this honoring, I just invite you to breathe deeply. Breathe into your heart center. Breathe in from the heart of the earth and down from the heart of the cosmos. Just allow yourself to continue to arrive into this moment. Whatever was. Whatever this year brought to you, both insight and beauty and challenge and grief, whatever it was, just let it be what it was and arrive here. Allowing. And this first candle that I'm going to light, this one is for all of us. I know that I've asked you to bring a candle as well, but this one is for all of us. And not just for each of us that are here, but also all of those who our light touches, right? Our friends and our families, neighbors, community. Okay. Our honoring. In gratitude of the directions: east, south,
south,
west,
west,
north,
north,
above,
below,
Up, below,
center.
we are
center.
this opportunity to co-create
This
this place.
co-create in this place.
In gratitude of the elements:
In gratitude of the elements.
air, fire, water,
Air,
earth, akasha.
fire, water, earth, akasha.
We are honored with the building blocks that
We are
provide.
honored with the building blocks that provide foundation.
In gratitude of time, past, present,
And future.
we are honored by
Future.
the ancestors, the now,
The now, and the descendants.
In gratitude of the makers, Mother,
Gratitude of the makers,
Father,
Father,
God,
Father,
all of your names.
God, in all your names.
We are honored with this opportunity to experience.
We are honored with this opportunity to experience the gift of life.
In gratitude of the guides, teachers,
In gratitude of the guides,
nature,
teachers, divinity,
types, allies,
archetypes,
friends.
allies, friends.
We are honored with the wisdom, the understanding,
We are honored with the wisdom,
and patience.
understanding, and patience.
In gratitude of ourselves,
Gratitude of ourselves,
heart,
heart,
mind,
mind,
body,
body, and soul.
and soul.
body, soul.
We are honored with the chance to serve the highest
We're
good.
honored with the chance to serve the highest good of all.
Thank you for arriving with me in that way. So Hotep, what is a Hotep? Hotep is what we're making tonight. A Hotep is an altar. In the ancient times, this is the hieroglyph for peace and for offering. Right? This is what you will see to represent those things on the wall. Sometimes you'll see 3 Hoteps. It's like triple peace. It's a really beautiful symbol to see that on the walls. And what it represents is the cloth. The line on the bottom is the cloth. And then there's this beautiful little vessel, right, that holds the substance. And then there's the loaf of bread that sits on top of it. And so it's an altar. It's an offering. It's what brings peace. And it's such a beautiful small thing, right? When we create an altar, it really does bring us into that sense of peace, into that sense of presence, that sense of awareness and attention, right? Just take a moment as you see this very simple pictogram, really, right? Representing these ideas of the cloth, the weaving, right, that came together, that vessel that was created by the hands, and the bread that was baked in the oven. And in the ancient Egyptian times, probably by the mother who baked that bread to nourish her family. Ancient Egypt, here we are in modern Egypt with the call to prayer. We'll talk more about altars in a minute, but I just want to bring our attention to this moment that is coming tomorrow. And I'm sure many of us, some of us I know are astrologers on this call, and I am not that, so I'm not going to speak into it from an astrological perspective, but from more of an alchemical perspective, right? This opportunity where these 2 huge spheres, heavenly bodies in our system, they're part of our system, and they're going to almost kiss, they're coming so close. And so what are we doing in this moment as we're shifting from one season to the next, right? Where the light is changing its course, whether we're in the south or the north, doesn't matter where we are, this moment is happening. Is there anybody on with us who knows more from an astrological perspective about the 2 of these that would like to share with us? No obligation. I just would love to hear something more than what I know in my head.
I'll share.
Please.
I do know that Saturn and Jupiter have very significant influences in our star system. And so the fact that they're coming together this close means there's going to be a lot of shifting of energies in different ways that we haven't experienced for a really long time. And we're not likely to experience again for another couple of 100 years. So it's an opportunity for those telescopes to come out and see something really significant.
Thank you. Anybody else have any relationship with either of these planets that you'd want to share with us?
They're such different energies, with Saturn being very serious and direct, and Saturn likes to be contained, whereas Jupiter is expansive and open. And someone just used the analogy recently in the United States. I know not everybody is here, but it's kind of like we have our new vice president, Kamala Harris, who is very serious. Damn, she's putting on those tennis shoes and able to dance. So these two energies are coming together, which, they might not have an easy time together, and yet they will influence. So very different energies coming together.
So what an opportunity, huh, for each of us to step into that, right? With these different aspects of ourselves, the more whoa, and that more like, okay, I have to have it in order, my outlines with the this
I
symbol.
have a question for
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry. I have a question for the astrologers. On a larger scale, I get what you said. How does this apply to individuals? I mean, we've had such shifting of energies this year. So I'm curious what this particular conjunction would mean to individuals.
I'm going to put that back on you and each individual in here. What is the part of you that's
Okay.
very serious and constricted that needs to open up? What's the part that maybe needs to get a little bit more focused? So it'll affect different
Okay.
individuals differently.
You know who comes
Okay,
to
thank
mind?
you. That
Anita?
helps because
Anita,
Mhm.
Sobek and Horace come to mind. Sobek and Horace, this reconciliation
Okay.
of opposites, right?
Okay.
Where we
Okay.
want to
Yep.
balance those opposites so that they each have their place. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, because I'm not too familiar with astrology, so I didn't know. But thank you so much. Now I do.
So, and let's bring that question in when we show up at the altar together. You're all joining me at the altar today. When we show up at the Hotep altar, which I'll show you a picture of it in a little bit, let's bring that question. How is this change and this, astrological event going to affect us? What do we need to be aware of? What do we need to look at in ourselves? So let's carry that question through the rest of this evening. Okay. I asked you all to have some paper and a pen or pencil, and that's a question you could write that down on your paper to just have that with you. How do these two planets and the differences that they have, what is the portal they're opening for you? What is the opportunities they're bringing you? What is the insight they're bringing to the front, right? Bringing to the forefront. As that light is going to get so bright when the two of them get close, and the sun, which we're here to honor tonight, shines upon them. It's going to be a beautiful sight in the sky. Hopefully, the clouds will clear away. The clouds. It's very cloudy here in my Willamette Valley. So again, not an astrology evening, but I wanted to just bring this energy in because we're entering into this tomorrow, and I think it's really important to honor it as we move through today and this evening and into the solstice, which is coming tomorrow. Oops, yikes, sorry, hold on. There we go. These are both solstice pictures in Egypt, winter solstice in Egypt. One is, the top one is on the east bank of Luxor. And all the peoples are gathering at Karnak Temple, right? It's a big thing to gather at Karnak Temple because the light shines directly down the axis on that morning in a really beautiful way and illuminates that altar, that holy of holies in the very center of that temple. But that's where everybody was going. And so a few of us decided, why don't we go somewhere else? So we began to just drive and drive and drive and drive. And we took a left near the spot where Moses was put into the river in the basket to float on down. And we drove towards the mountains. And there came a moment when I'm like, okay, this is it, stop. And this was that moment. And one of the things I love about it, when we look at hieroglyphs, this up on the hill here, you see this shape. And this is actually the hieroglyph for land. And you'll see that shape in the hieroglyphs with the two hills with the sun disk rising between it. So it was a perfect moment. And underneath, this is the Hotep altar that we will go visit in our journey today. This is Abu Ghraib, which is near Cairo, south of Cairo a little bit. It was a grand sun temple dedicated to Re. And this was 2013, this particular picture. I was there with my son and we were greeting the solstice sun rising from his temple. And I'll show you a picture when we get further down of the altar a little better so you can see it's comprised of 4 of the Hotep symbols. So each side is a Hotep symbol. And in the center, it's the sun. It's the round disk of the sun. And so it's this quadruple blessed alabaster altar, and it's huge. It's huge. It comes up to my waist. The top part of it comes up to my waist. Just stunning and spectacular. So here we are, right on the darkest of the night for those of us on the northern hemisphere. And we get to have a new dawn and watch as each day the sun comes a little earlier and a little earlier. And those of you in the southern hemisphere, you know, you're at the fullness of your day. It's as bright as it's going to get. And now you're going to begin that slow day by day. It gets a little shorter and a little darker. So as we move, we get to hold these tensions of opposites, as we were just talking about, right? So pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure that everybody that's here today has altars of one kind or another. We create altars just in our life because we have something that's important and we put it down in a special place. And then that really becomes an altar, right? And so I have different things I've collected along the way that become part of my altar. Wherever I go, however it gets set up, I'll take it apart and I'll put it back together. This particular layout was to honor Sekhmet. There she is, the triple Sekhmet. And I was offering her beer because in her story, she needed a little bit of pomegranate beer to calm down. She was getting a little fierce. So I made an altar for her to calm her down in this pandemic time. So one kind of altar, right? And then Ma'at is truth and justice and balance, harmony, cosmic law, all these things. And so for me, she's really important. So I have her on my altar always in different ways. She's behind me. I have Sekhmet and her here for the solstice altar because they're both daughters of Re, right? They both came from the sun. Sekhmet is the feminine face of the sun, and Ma'at is the truth that helps the whole of everything keep in order. So and again, just different elements that I bring in, right? Every time, like what's important, what has significance. Each altar then becomes a story, or almost like a card in a deck of an oracle card, right? Where you can read into what that has to share with you. So, like I said, I'm sure most of you have altars in one way or another. So. I just wanted to share a few of these. This is elemental altars that I've put together with air up here on the top. So breath and the bird, there's some scent there. And there's some sound, bells. I actually have those right here. So, you know, air and sound go together, air and scent. And then my water altar. Oops. And fire. Here I have fire. This little cauldron has things that can burn and a candle and so on. And then earth. So creating altars to honor the specific element. And just because I love these 3, I just wanted to give them a little space. Different aspects of Kuan Yin. but I see Guadalupe and Kuan Yin as sisters in a way, because both of them have this amazing grace, regardless of what's going on, right? So Guadalupe's standing on that moon, and it's always changing, that moon, right? It's never the same. It always is moving. And yet she's just in this beautiful way. And Kuan Yin, she stands on waves and serpents and dragons, and no matter what she's on, she's just got that Ma'atian balance. It's just so beautiful. So altars, right? Different things that are important, arranged in different ways depending on what you need in the moment. So tonight, what we're working on is creating an altar for ourselves that we can put somewhere in our house and keep it there, tend to it, be mindful of it through these 3 months of the season. And when we come to the equinox, when the day and night are equal in March, yeah, then you can address that altar. And maybe we'll do this every, whoever wants to do this with me, we can do this every quarter, right? Every cross quarter, to just check in with our altar and do whatever needs to be done in that next layer. So I have a couple different things to share with you, just to show different things that you can use. So I have, like, this is something I got in Philae. It's a little, where is it there? A little Isis. She's like a boat. She is the boat. And I have stones from her temple, and I have money, and I have other things that are in this. You can use baskets, right? Here's a sweet little basket. Um, this is a little vessel I made years ago, I think when I was in high school, that now is an altar bowl that I use on my hotep. Um, and then like this, up there. It's a little 3. See how it's got 3 little things, and I have salt in there, 3 different kinds of salt. Honor the salt of the earth, the salt of our body, the salt of the ocean. So, and then, you know, a bowl that has water. And then this is my hotep that I'm putting together with art tonight. And so it's a little bowl, and I have some seeds. I have some hibiscus seeds, and I have some beans, magic beans that I'm hoping will grow a beanstalk up to the heavens, that came from the garden in the house I just moved into. So I thought, you know, I'm going to put them in my altar, and in the springtime we'll plant these new seeds. And then a little earthen heart that I made long time ago, so that I can honor the earth that these seeds will grow in when it's time. So why don't each of you get whatever bowl you're going to bring into for your altar. I have on the bottom, my cloth is a little rug that I got in Egypt. So it can really be anything. This is something a friend gifted me in Egypt. She made it. It's quite lovely. That could be part of your altar, or even just something like a scarf, right? Or like something like this scarf back here. I use this altar cloth too. And so I've also asked that you have a candle, and if you haven't already, once you've got the offerings that you are wanting to put into your bowl ready, see, there we go. And then take a moment with your candle, with your little bowl of offerings, and just take some deep breaths, honoring this moment, honoring this year, honoring all that's to come, the creativity, the opportunities, the challenges, whatever they are. Feel the planets doing their things as they turn around the sun, with our attention on Saturn and Jupiter right now, but also knowing that all the others are here turning with us. Each of them have their day and their night, their winter and their summer. Each of them receive the same light from the sun in different ways. And when you're ready, and when it feels right, and when that offering you know is a good offering in a good way for a good reason to nourish you through this season, go ahead and light the candle that you have for yourself. And it's my hope that you can leave these candles that we've just lit to burn until they're done. But of course, safety is what's most important, with fire being such a potent ally and a strong ally. So if you need to put the candle out, then of course, please do. But if you can leave it to burn through, that would be lovely as well. And then, looking for my pen, take a piece of paper. And I invite you to, I'm going to give you 3 questions for these 3 months that will be between this solstice and the equinox. So the first question is, what is true right now? Right? So that when you look at this note in 3 months, you'll say, oh, yes, I remember what was true back then. So what is true now? And it doesn't need to be an essay, just a little bit about what is true now, how you're feeling, what's happening in the world around you, whatever you want to record for that. The next question is, what is it that you hope for in the 3 months, right? So that you can see what your aim is, and then you can look at it and read it in those 3 months and say, oh, yeah, I made it. Or, oh, I was a little off course, but wow, look where I am instead. Or, I needed a little course correction, or whatever it is for you. So what is your prediction of the next 3 months is kind of what this question is. And then the last question is to really just take a big, deep breath with this last question and sink into what is the guidance you need. Right? So you know where you are, you know where you want to head. And maybe if you don't know where you want to head, that's part of what you write. But what is the guidance? What does that look like? Does that come in the whisper of the wind? Does it come in a class? Does it come in a quiet moment in the early morning light? How does that guidance come? Let's take maybe, I don't know, a few minutes for each question. So maybe 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes. Welcome, Monica. I see you just joined us. We were just writing down on some paper 3 questions, answer to 3 questions, just so you know. Um, what is true now? What is true for us right now as we shift from one season to the next? Where do you see yourself? Where are you guiding yourself or directing yourself for 3 months' time when the next shift in the seasons happens? And what is the guidance that you have between now and then? So that's what we've all been writing on. And we're just about at 6 minutes. So give it another moment for those of you who are still writing, finishing a sentence, if there is, or a word. So now, what I'm inviting us to do is to take our piece of paper, in my case, it's a pretty little one, and fold it up. Right? So it's just put away whatever was written on there is for another day. You don't have to look at it at this point. However, in 3 months' time, I invite us all to open it back up again and see what it says. And see where you're at. And take out a blank piece of paper again and write down what is true in that moment and see how it compares to what's on your little folded up piece of paper that you have now. And where you want to go for the next 3 months and what guidance you need. Guidance comes in so many ways, in so many forms, right? And then my little altar bowl doesn't have any water in it, but if you chose your offering to be water, I would recommend not putting your paper in that bowl. Instead, it can sit underneath the bowl. But otherwise, put it in there with your other stuff and just take a moment to recognize where you are right now. Honor all that it took to get you here, all the billions of stars and moments in time and all the ancestors and all the life on this planet and all the activity that had to transpire for us to make this moment together now. Honor where you're heading, right? Honor whatever that guidance is, however it's showing up, however you're asking for it. Yeah. All right, I've been talking a lot. Does anybody have any observations or sharing or anything that they want to bring forward? What does an altar mean to you? How do you create an altar in your life? Lisa, am I saying that right? Go ahead.
Yes, Tiza is a short for Brazil. My native name Beatriz, so I'm used to December being summer until I moved to the United States. I'm very grateful to Carmela to have invited me to be here. It's just a very special time for me to be part of this group, and I'm grateful for that. I really I think the thing that hit me when you talked about the components of the hot tap is that the thing that I picked was a crochet that my mother had made that I didn't know why, but that's why I went into my drawer. My mother did beautiful crochet all her life. And that's what I picked. And when you said something that's made by hand. And so that, just was incredible. And the other thing is that my vessel is this, okay? And when you said you did something, this is my attempt to do pottery and porcelain. And it started fumbling. And I did this in 98, no, 88. It started crumbling, and the teacher always said, smash it. And I said, no, this is imperfection being beautiful. And it's one of my most, I've kept this, and for some reason, this is what got me to be my vessel. I never used as a vessel. And then I chose evergreen, something that I want to do as the life thing on here. And I come in Brazil from a place of stones and semi-precious stones. And I'm always have rocks all over the place. I have a huge collection. So I got, crystal, labradorite, an amethyst, and all of these things. And of course, angels who have been part of my life and are present in my life. But the thing that really, I've never formally created an altar. And this is another piece from Brazil, from somebody who gave this to me, which is just exquisite in terms of pottery. And I love pottery. So it was just so incredible for me that even through your email, this thing came through me, and I brought these pieces into the tray that's going to be that. And again, I just wanted to be grateful. Very difficult year for me. And just being here and being prepared is just a blessing. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for Carmilla for inviting her in. So when we're all done tonight, and please raise your hand if you want to share. When we're all done tonight, we'll take our altar cloth and the various components and find that special place in your home where you can put it there and where you'll see it and give it your attention, right? Give it your honor. Think about these questions of these opposites that these Saturn and Pluto are working us in these next coming days and months. Think about the light as it's either increasing if we're on the north or decreasing if we're on the south. Who else? What is your relationship to your altar or the things that you've gathered here today? You can just go ahead and unmute yourself if you want. You're all being so shy. It's not, come on, it's just me.
Yeah, this is Tara.
Hi, Tara.
Sort of in the dark because I'm just lit by a few candles.
I love it.
Or am I really here? Ooh. Wow, Zahra, thank you. I want my entire life to be an offering on an altar that I make in every moment. And other than that, I spend time thinking, why am I not doing that? Why it's and beating myself up, being like every breath, every moment is sacred. Every connection, everything is a gift. But I only remember that sometimes. So this, I'm going to. I don't know. I don't have very many things, and I'm probably not going to be living in this house for more than a couple of months. Then I'm going to be living in an RV, I think. So I'm going to have to find an altar place in my RV with my two kittens, who, well, where it'll be safe. But yeah, I don't need to share what's on it because it may change. This is all this because I made an altar last night too, but this was very this focus. Yeah, how lovely, the conjunction and the focus and the Jupiter and Saturn and Mott and miracles. That's, that's what I was reading about Jupiter and Saturn. One is miracles and one is balance, and to have justice and miracles be the time we're coming into. That sounds really good. So, all right, I shared. Thank you. Many blessings, everyone here tonight.
Thank you. You know, with your altar, you can take your cloth and just wrap it up in it. And so then it's a bundle and it's all sacred and contained to put wherever you need it to be in your RV in a safe, good way.
Very good idea. Thank you.
And thanks for the reminder that, these are a living thing. The more you give it your attention, you'll be like, oh, I think I need to put that stone there. I really need to put this there, or right, play with it. Let it speak to you. Edna, go ahead. I see you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for this opportunity. I cannot see the video part, so I don't know how to show you what I got.
We can
You can see me? Okay. I have here, look.
Oh, beautiful.
This was given to me as a birthday present because I just turned 72. And then I have the sun disc. It's orange and it's made by hand in wood and painted also by hand. I have the tree of life from the Kabbalah. I usually hang this in my car. And I have some fragrances. This is the rose from, the steel rose from Bulgaria.
Ooh. Can you open that up and give us all, even though we won't smell it?
I send it to you anyway in the beginning.
Give us a little of that yummy goodness.
Yes.
A little.
And I have some music here. It's a little tambourine. I'm from Colombia, and when we do the Christmas carols, all the children carry one tambourine, and they also carry a little bird that is hollow, and they put water inside, and when you blow on it, it whistles. So this is what they use for the Christmas carols. And talking about Christmas, I found this little Christmas nativity set inside a heart.
Oh.
In a bunch of old Christmas decorations. So I rescued it, I cleaned it up, and this is my nativity now for this season. And I have the candles, and I have the vessel, which is a little crystal jar with a mouth. So you can drink or you can serve from that. And of course, the lights and some crystals, the crystals that I don't know if you can see the crystals here in a little box. And I have them in that little box because I have used them during ceremonies and different events and things like that. They have been charged like talismans. So that's how I made it. And the little fabric is right here. This also was used in a ceremony. It's silk. And it has 3 colors, yellow, orange, and white. And it's very delicate. And it was hand woven. And it has some symbols somewhere around here, like animals, like totems. So that's the altar that I made. Oh, and I have a little container with fruits. I am in Florida right now, so there could not be no altar without an orange. Orange from Florida.
Orange from
Vitamin C and vitamin D3 in one little fruit.
Beautiful.
And I'll call all kinds of blessings for all of you.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
And they pop that on their own, like when you started mentioning things, I'm looking around, I just moved like that old lady. I'm in a room, moving from a large house to a smaller house to an apartment. a smaller apartment, and now I'm down to a room. So that's what I had, this little corner under my lamp, and I put all the things in there.
Mm.
So thank you for the opportunity, and bless you all, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Edna, for showing up and creating with us this moment and these individual collective altars. Yeah.
They found each other.
I love how, you know, it's not so much even about what it is that we're putting on, it's about how what we put on these altars, what it means for us, right? What it means to us, the importance of them.
And when I saw your first image with her, and I know I had her, she just went down somewhere, and then she said, here I am. She told me where she was.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I've got some orange right here too.
Yay.
With some vodka.
Ah.
And there's a reason for it. So this is some Pearl vodka, and Pearl is the name of my grandmother who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I have this beautiful scarf of hers that it took a while to get this. There was a lot of drama in the family, and this was like 15, almost 20 years in the making of me obtaining this. And it matched my little bowl that a friend of mine had given me that has a bunch of Elder Futhark runes on it. And so I just have my little, it's very basic, and I put some Pearl vodka in there. Grandma and I wasn't old enough to drink when she was alive, but I would like to think that we would sip and have a little something together. So I thought that would be very nice to bring her into that. And I've got this, I'm very fortunate to be subscribed to, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go grab it real quick.
Oh, look at her altar behind there.
I know, I was gonna say that too.
I love my big altar. I subscribe to a box called The Witch's Moon, and every month they send you, it's like a new theme. And this month it's the Lady of the East, and they sent me this statue of Bast.
Aww.
Along with some other really beautiful things, including this beeswax candle for Yule. So yeah, so I just had like everything actually was just sent to me, my parchment paper that I wrote on tonight. I was just like, why, thank you, universe. Don't mind if I do.
Perfect. Oh,
Happy
and Bob
birthday, Edna.
Take care, right? Take care. Take care. Someone is just hopping in with us. Oh, Ria's coming in. Yay. Let's let her get in here. So I love seeing who is supposed to show up on an altar, right? Who's speaking to me, how it develops. And sometimes it is so simple. It really is just that cloth and the bowl and the bread, or whatever the metaphoric bread is that goes in it. But then it can get very elaborate very quickly, in beautiful ways. So play with it, have fun with it. Many of you have heard this, but not all of you. So I'm going to share it because it's always a good thing, and I think about it every day. So one of my teachers, her name is Jyoti, and some of you know her who are here. We were on a call once, and she said, the key to the realm is just show up. Okay. And my other teacher, Nikki Scully, she would say forever, the coin of the realm is pay attention. And in these very different times that these two women shared this wisdom with me, and I realized that it really is like the key to enlightenment. Show up and pay attention. That's all we have to do. And so these altars that we're creating give us that opportunity to show up and pay attention. Show up and pay attention to what's important to us, right? Show up and pay attention to what it is we're hopeful for, show up and pay attention, because in the moment, everything's always here that we need, even if it's a moment filled with grief or pain or trouble or sorrow. We have the resources we need when we're here. When we're before or after, it's hard to be here. It's hard to pay attention and have everything we need. So anyway, I just want to share that with you, that may this altar help you show up and pay attention in your lives, in your moments, in your truths, in whatever it is that you are creating as we move into this new year of 2021. All right, one other little thing. So I was thinking about it. So in the United States, you've just had this presidential election, and the outgoing guy has been kicking and screaming, and you know, I'm not going to get into politics here, but he's not happy about leaving his throne, and um, and he's number 45, right? And 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 is an ending number, it's a completion,
That's right.
right? And 46 is 10, and 1 plus 0 is 1, and that's a beginning number. And so I'm really hopeful that this is a beginning, that we're moving into a beginning time of creativity, right? Of co-creativity, where we're all globally looking at how we help take care of each other, right? Rather than like the economy of scarcity, it's the economy of abundance. And if we all live in that place of abundance, then we perpetuate it, and then it's a whole nother world than an economy of scarcity. So anyway, Anita, please.
Well, I don't have stuff gathered together right now, but I'm doing it in my brain. We're having a snowstorm here, so it's been kind of a crazy day. My Wi-Fi's been down, the TV's been off. It's kind of a energy shifting in a very cold way. Right. But I just wanted to share that I have, for my altar cloth, I have, and I had forgotten about it. So it came to mind while we were, writing our little note, that my altar cloth is going to be a piece of ancient or antique suit that I got back when my belly dancing days many years ago. And it is the very soft, very well-made kind. When I was in Egypt the last time in 2011, I bought an suit dress that I saw at Abydos and bargained for it and got pretty good price after I got done. But it's very stiff and I can't get it to soften up so it's comfortable to wear, but I have it. But this, a suit that I got all those years ago is I think it's like the original kind, and I think it's gold that's hammered into the mesh. And so that's going to be my sun catcher in a way. And then I have, of course, all my netter friends to choose. And I usually have all 4 of the elements. Right now I have my candles lit because my altar place right now is being taken over by Christmas. So right now my altar is a Christmas village here with a Santa and reindeer and everything. But after Christmas, then that will get shifted over, and then this will all come out. But I just wanted to say about altars. I usually end up with everything in the kitchen sink on it, because it's like I keep adding and adding and adding, and I don't want to take anything off. So I think I need to maybe be a little more balanced when I make it up. I think this time I'm making notes and ideas as I'm listening to everybody's ideas. And so that'll be my New Year's project, I think. So that's, I just wanted to share that. The suit will be beautiful.
So does anybody not know what she's talking about with the suit? I see most of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you explain?
Do they know what it is?
Okay.
Well, a suit was made, it's a handmade fabric. It's like a netting, but very soft. I don't know what it's made out of exactly, but it's very soft. And then they take bits and pieces of gold or silver. I think I'm not sure if they ever use platinum, but the gold and the silver are the two main ones. And they take little tiny pieces and they hammer it. And like, how do I want to say it? Almost like taking it and folds it around and into the mesh, and then it's hammered flat. So it shines on both sides. And back in the, I think like the 1930s and 40s, people coveted it and would buy it and make dresses out of it and everything. And the piece I have was originally a dress, but it's so old now. I have to be very careful because the mesh has become almost rotten. So I have to be very careful with it. I can't get too carried away with it like I used to. But I made a costume out of it for a sword dance. And it is just the most beautiful fabric because it's almost like it's heavy enough that it follows the body, the movement of the body, but at the same time, it's sheer.
Right.
So it's very hard to describe, but the old suit is the best, and it's very expensive if you can find it anymore.
It's really
I know sometimes people can find it in like antiques. Yeah, it's very hard to find the old kind. I don't believe there's anyone making it, not in the old way.
In the old way. No,
The
in ways.
last I knew that, well, it was made in a village called a suit. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And as far as I last knew, I think that many of the artisans that knew how to do it have probably, passed on and maybe not passed it on. I don't know if there's any being made like that, like the old kind with a very soft fabric. Because yeah, it'd be interesting to know if there's anyone making it in the old way, because I couldn't find any when I was in Egypt the last time. I looked in different places, but of course where we were going, it was for more touristy shopping. So there really wasn't a lot of what you would expect to find that. So I didn't have any luck except that dress, and I was going to get that one way or the other. It was my bargain of the trip.
Thanks, Anita.
So anyway, so that's one of my altar.
So whatever it is, right, that we find that has some special meaning that we can use is that foundation of our altar, right? That base. Okay. This little carpet here is it's got the stars of Nut on it, and it came from Saqqara in Egypt. It was a rug factory there where they're hand making it. And, and each of you have brought different pieces that have had different significance in it. So, is there anybody else that wants to share? Go ahead, Rita. You unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go. I have the hardest time unmuting for some reason. Zara, I want to thank you for doing this because I'm good at putting together altars, and then I add things to them and I kind of lose track of why I did the altar in the first place. And I don't tend my altar normally. So it was a nice reminder to tend. And it was kind of interesting because I didn't think about this when I gathered my things. I've got a cloth, like a doily that my mom always had on a table. It's Swiss, it's got Swiss embroidery, and then a native basket. I loved baskets as I was growing up, and so did she. And then I've got cedar. I'm working with cedar right now. And I didn't think about this, but it's really reminding me of my mother, which is really sweet because she passed away January 7th, 2 years ago. And there's been a lot of healing around my relationship with her, and I have a really lovely one with her now. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you get to walk with your mom for these next 3 months, maybe a little bit. Right?
Exactly. I really didn't think about that. And, a lot of my hope and my joy right now is around alchemical healing because I'm doing classes and I think that would have just delighted her.
Yay. Hey, Mom. Thanks, Rita. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
This you sent me the calls. I pulled my Aleister Crowley Thoth tarot cards out of what I normally have them wrapped up in. We got the eye for us, and then it's got the pyramid. It's got the Sphinx. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful.
But then if I use this as an altar cloth, now I've got to find something else to wrap my tarot cards in. But there's always the dilemma.
Put your tarot cards on your altar, and then they can share.
Well, I would pull a card for each Sabbat or each full moon or new moon, but a different card each time. But I never used the whole deck on an altar though.
Ideas. Thanks, Mike. Anybody else want to share before we go into our journey time together? Peter, go ahead.
Well, I put together, I gathered together things that were important to me according to the list that you had made, except I added rocks because that's what I do. And as I'm sitting here and you're talking about altars and such, I suddenly realized I have a secretary drop down, and the reality is it is an altar. I have stored things there, nicely displayed, beautiful on a gorgeous piece of cloth that's in there, and just stuff that has been important to me over the years. So as it has been said, I don't look at it very often, but I suddenly realized it's sitting right here. I can sit here and look at that one too. And I never really thought of it as an altar, but it is because it's got little rocks that my sons wrote "I heart you" on, and stones from all over the place, and feathers, and just all kinds of things that have meant something to me over the years. And so thank you for reminding me that I needed to open the secretary and look at it.
That's that paying attention piece, right? Like when Nikki was talking about paying attention, it was in relation to doing journey work and working with the allies and guides and deities and various beings that show up, that we feed them with our attention, we pay them with our attention. And I've come to see this not just about in my journey world, in my inner world, in my spirit world, it's about paying attention to you right now, right? Paying attention to my children, paying attention to what's going on in my body, paying attention to the altar and what it needs, right? And the more we interact with it, the more living it is for us and the more it can inform us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lee, I saw that you had your mute open.
Yeah, mine, I took a class with Sandra Ingerman a while ago, and part of it was an eight things. And part of our homework was to create an altar and then change it every week. That was our homework, was every single week we had to change our altar. And it kind of got to be a habit with me. And so I've moved it around a whole bunch of times trying to figure out where it wants to be. And I've decided that it wants to be by my front door, because that way I see it every time I go in and out. I just, I walk by it all the time, and it's become a living thing to me, and it changes. It's just always changing because it's alive. And I keep, I always have a flower on it or something that's alive, and I always have a candle. And then I'm finding things that like to bring things for tonight. I had a bowl of rose petals, because I had lots and lots of roses this year, and they were so pretty. I didn't want I didn't know what to do with them. So I just cut them off when it was time, and I put them in a bowl, and they dried, but they still have their color and they still smell good. And then I have all these bay leaves because I have a bay laurel. And so I put some of those in there too, and they dried. And I'm like, I just switch stuff out all the time. And with rocks, I have all kinds of rocks and things that people give me. And then when I take walks, I find things that just kind of speak to me. So I pick them up and I bring them home and I put them on my altar. And then I change them out all the time. And my altar cloth, this is something else that you shared with me, because you said the more important the cloth is, the better. And today was the day that my mother died, like a bunch of years ago. And she made she embroidered some napkins and tablecloths and things like that for me. And she shot one of her hands off, so it was kind of a big deal for her to do this. And she bled all the time, and she bled on it. And so there's some of her blood on this cloth. So that's what I'm using today, is one of the napkins that she embroidered. So that's my cloth, on the day to honor her. I don't know. It's just really cool. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Lee. Hmm. So our altars move, they are alive, they change, they inform us, they remind us sometimes to open the secretary and look inside, right? Our bodies are an altar, right? This is an altar. This is a holy altar, and how we choose to care for it is sacred, right? How are we adorning our altar? How are we feeding this altar of our bodies? Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts or sharing or anything before we move forward?
I found interesting that a lot of us have some items that are related to our mothers.
Yes.
My mother also died in December a couple of years ago. So I'm feeling her. Mm-hmm. And that little cloth that I had, it was woven by her.
Wow. Well, and if we think about this, right, the birth of the sun for us in the northern hemisphere, the birth comes, the mother births, right? It's the mother that gives the birth. And so as we birth, as we honor that coming light, we have to honor she who gives the birth in that way, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Maybe I'll just take a moment and take a deep breath. Feeling our heart center, feeling the earth and the sky, feeling each other and all our own light that we're sharing together. From the north to the south of this globe, a beautiful opportunity to honor the solstice, where we represent both the winter and the summer in the same day, in the same moment altogether. So next, I would love to take you on a journey to our altar. For those of you who can see on the screen, there's a picture. This is a picture of an altar at the Oregon Country Fair, which is a festival that usually happens every July. And this is altered space, is what this area is called. And me calling just this evening altered, right? Come and join me with this altered evening. Comes from here, that we and some others, even of us who are on this call tonight, help tend this altar for a few days every summer when the festival happens. And it really is our altar. It's a place for us to recognize and honor all the ways of the sacred, right? All the ways of the sacred. And so our goal tonight with this journey is to co-create and initiate our individual altars in this collective way. Okay? Earlier we were talking about the, where was it? I'll pop up here really quick just to bring reference. The bottom photo here that has the Hotep. The Hotep being, you know, the altar with the four sides. So this is the temple itself, the Sun Temple, when it was a full thing. It had this beautiful structure, and the Hotep itself was right here in the middle, in the very center of the courtyard. And here's a better picture of the altar itself. There's a person, he has a slightly alternative Egyptology kind of outlook. He talked about Abu Ghraib being designed to increase the spiritual awareness through harmonic resonance and through a process of energy amplification. This level of consciousness allowed the people at that time to get in touch with the Neteru, who are the gods and goddesses of Egypt. And they are sacred beings of energy in the universe. That's a bit of his words. And what I'm recognizing in our journey tonight is that we have this opportunity to increase our spiritual awareness as these two planets are doing their dance of structure and looseness, of, you know, all the things that we've talked about tonight and what they represent as we move into the change of the season, depending on where we are on the globe, what that looks like for us, right? It's that moment of transition when there's an opening, when we can allow in something new, something different. And so just take a moment and feel this altar. Recognize that sun disk in the center, the four hoteps that are facing the four directions, the ingenuity, the creativity, the engineering it took to create this structure. Huge, it's huge. Oh my goodness. And it's drilled, it's created with tools in a time when they didn't have tools, so they said. So it's really a marvel of engineering, this beautiful alabaster altar.
Is it sitting on a star?
It has
It
the
looks
four
like
points. Let me see if I can bring it up a little bigger. Maybe I can draw it. Let me see. I'll draw a quick little representation of it. So it's like this, right? Where there's the four hoteps, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're actually more like this. It needs to be specific, I guess I do. So it's the four hotep symbols facing the east, north, south, and west, and then the sun disk in the center. Right? And so we are going to journey here together. And I'm bringing these images in so that you can bring this into your own awareness for when we go in to this journey together. It's a communal journey, right? So we're going to envision each other there together, right? There's 25 of us here today. We'll move up this ramp here and through this little entering spot, and there'll be something that happens here before we enter into the courtyard. We'll be carrying with us. I'm giving this instruction now so I can leave more space when we're actually doing it. You'll be taking your bundle, your altar with you, right? Your bowl, what you put in the bowl, the note, the candle, all of those things you'll be carrying with you, right? And because of the journey, we can easily do that. And we will all bring our offerings and put them together on this hotep, okay? So with that, why don't we settle into our seats, find yourself in a comfortable way. so that you can relax and sink into this collective communal experience. Because it is a collective experience, there'll be some points where I'll open it up if there's anything that needs to come through for you. Just share with the group when we're in the journey space. It's not necessary, it's not required, but I also want to honor anything that might need to come in. This could also be a time if you brought a verse or have a song or even a prayer that you want to share, that it can come in when the invitation is there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take off our screen sharing. We don't really need it, and then we can really be in the same space together. There we go. Yeah. All right. So I just want to begin this moment of thinking into this journey space, into this sacred place where we're all connected together. I'm going to begin the moment with gratitude. Gratitude for the technology that allows us to be together. Gratitude for the presence that each of you bring to this moment to amplify it for each of the others who are here. Gratitude to the Hotep. The Hotep, whether it's your own body or a bowl and a cloth or an elaborate display of sacred aspects and elementals. Gratitude to the land of Egypt and to this temple dedicated to Re, the sun who shines so bright for our planet and all the others that share this solar system. And now I invite you to take a deep breath into your heart center, pulling up the wisdom and the vitality from the earth's heart and the creativity and intelligence down from the heart of the cosmos. Breathing that combined breath of earth and sky into your heart center. And on your next breath, bring your awareness however you receive information, whether you see or know or feel. See us all now on this boat, this collective boat zooming down the Nile, taking us to a spot where we can disembark and begin our journey to the Sun Temple at Abu Ghraib. Notice the water under you, this ever-flowing ancient river. Notice the mangoes and the palms and the fields that are growing along the banks of the river. Notice that it's very early morning, and though it is light enough to see all around you, the sun has not yet risen in the sky. The boat begins to slow and soon gently pulls up to a stone rampart that looks as if it had been there for an eternity. The boat is secured to the bank, and one by one we exit the boat stepping on to the stone rampart. Waiting there for us is a goddess Ma'at. She is one of truth, of balance and order. And with her compass of truth, she guides us forward up the ramp. She leads us to one of the groves. It's a mango grove. And there's a path that goes into the trees. And we follow her into the dim of this early morning light, carrying our offerings with us as we go. On the other side of this grove of mango trees, there's a fence and a gate. And on the other side of the gate, there is desert. There is sands. And you notice at the top of a small rise of the sands, there is a jumble of stones that reveal a sacred place that was once long ago a sun temple. In the dim of the light and with a squint of the eye, you begin to notice that those jumbled stones of today begin to take on their ancient form and shape of the temple that once was. Our feet together follow Ma'at, and we hear the sands shift with each step. She walks us around to the front of the temple, where there is a ramp leading up to the entry house. One by one, we walk behind her up this ramp and into this small gatehouse. Inside, there is a temple guardian, and you walk up to the guardian and they gently touch your forehead, where your third eye is, your throat, and your heart. And as the guardian activates these three centers, you feel a tingle. You feel a glow, an awakening, a remembering. Oh, a remembering you've been here before. You've brought your offering to this place in another time. When we have all been activated, our aunt leads us forward into the courtyard. She invites us now each to walk up to this Hotep altar, this large alabaster altar, and find the spot where we lay down our cloth and set down our bowl with its offering and gently put our candle. The Hotep is large enough for all of our altars. And when you have set your altar down on the Hotep, take a step backwards and form a circle so that the 25 of us link hands one by one around this beautiful ancient altar. Feel the hand of the other in yours. Doesn't matter who it is that's, which of us's hand it is that you're holding. Feel the warmth, feel the life force. Notice that the sky is getting brighter as the sun is getting closer to that moment of rising. And now, with all of our hands linked, with all of us connected as one, breathing from earth and sky, let us feel the ancient vibration of this place move through our feet and up our legs, into our torsos, our shoulders and our neck and our heads, and back down our arms where it meets with the other. And as this happens, we form a glowing light around the hotep. And as we form this glowing light, the candles on the altar begin to glow brighter. The flame in our heart glows brighter. And in this place of connection, of illumination, of presence, you're invited, if you are so called, to share a prayer or an offering of some kind with your voice. You can unmute yourself and allow it to flow. And all of us will just breathe together, feeling this light, feeling this vibration, feeling this connection. And if nobody unmutes and shares, then we will breathe in this way together for a little while.
This is Anita. I have received from Matt a better understanding of the message earlier of the wearing two unmatched shoes. I see it as connecting the two planets in their opposites. One shoe new and eager for co-creation, growth, joy, harmony, and refinding myself for all the stress and strain that has been this last year. The old shoe is an understanding that it was part of me and cannot be just ignored, but I must find the lessons that maybe have been missed in all the depression and stress. And at the end of that path, the two energies can rebalance in a new way, in a better understanding, and a stronger inner self. And hopefully that will apply to others as well. Thank you.
And so those shoes are placed on the altar. Now, the dim of this early morning is getting brighter. You notice that there's some mist hanging amongst the green that's next to the Nile. You feel a quickening in your heart, a knowing that the sun is rising yet again. Another day is coming, another opportunity to lean in to what this life is asking. We allow our hands to fall to our side. And for those who are not now, we turn all to face the east. And in that eastern horizon, the light begins to brighten. The darkness begins to get strips of color, oranges and yellows, pinks and golds. You notice that before even the sun comes up on that horizon, that the rays begin to stream forth. Bit by bit, moment by moment, the far horizon becomes a dot of light, and that dot of light grows as Ray rises once again. Feel those rays of light come down and touch your heart. Any heaviness that was contained in your heart is obliterated by the brilliance. Feel the lightness fill your heart. Now those rays stream down from the rising sun to touch each of the flames that we've placed on the hotep. And those flames glow so bright we can barely even look at them. And that light illuminates all of our offerings. Thank Ray for rising once again, for illuminating your being, for lightening your heart. And now look into the depths of you, into the most sacred spaces of you, to the offering that you can give to Ray in these next 3 months as this season moves and turns. What is your offering? Not just what is in the bowl or the candle that's burning bright, but what sacred aspect of yourself can you offer to the world? And take that sacred offering and place it on your cloth with your bowl and your candle. And because time moves in its own way in these places that we visit, Ray moves up through the sky. And we again take our hands and circled around the Hotep. And when Ray is directly above the altar now, with that light shining down, a etheric altar is initiated so that when we each put our own Hotep in its special place in our home, we are also bringing this etheric altar into our home with it. And so that all of us are here supporting each other in these next 3 months. Feel the integration of your altar and the etheric altar. Look around the circle at each one of the beings that are here together. Even if you've never met them before this moment, you recognize them as kindred souls. You recognize them as your brothers and sisters. And you know that with us stand all of our ancestors, and with us stand all those who we love, and with us stand all the life that shares this beautiful planet. And as things are in this space, time is different here, and the sun from this high, high noon place begins to sink now towards the western horizon. And a new kind of light enters into our altar, into our circle, as we honor those things that end, honor those things that come to their conclusion. Those things that need time to sleep and rest in order to be ready for the new dawn that comes again the next day. And so it is that Ma'at steps forward, helping us remember the truth of this moment, the truth of this collective altar, the truth of all of our precious parts joined together as one. She encourages us now to each step up and gather our things. And we notice that as we pick up our own hotep, an aspect of it remains on the altar in Abu Ghraib in a good way, so that this connection remains. Carrying our hotep now, as the sun is sinking in the western sky, Ma'at leads us back across the courtyard, back through the entry house where we give our gratitude to the guardian, down the rampart to the mango grove. Where Kitty is meowing. And through the mango grove to the stone rampart to our boat. We all get aboard, and it leaves the banks and begins to zoom down the river. We all take a deep breath into our heart centers and down into the earth to ground ourselves, to ground this moment and this experience in gratitude and in peace in this way that Hotep teaches us. Another few just deep breaths as you continue to ground and integrate this experience at the Hotep altar with Re, the sun, on this solstice day, or eve. And when you're ready, bring your awareness into your body. Wiggle your toes, maybe your fingers, stretch, whatever you need to do to feel embodied and present. Yay. Thank you for going to Abu Ghraib with me. So happy to go there. So I said that we would end in 4 minutes, but I would also love the opportunity to hear from you and what that experience was for you. So what I would say is I can stick around a little longer, and if you need to go, please take care of yourself. And if any of you would like to share about being at Abu Ghraib and at this Hotep altar, I would surely love to hear from you. Go ahead, Petra. And we all can also sink into this evening and just carry that with us as we go as well. If you can leave your candle burning until it goes out on its own, I encourage you to do that. And I will bring this back around in March, the equinox. If you want to join me again, and we can open our papers together and create a new connection a new opening to our altar for the next cycle. Seems like 3 months is a really like good amount of time. Too much more than that in this world seems like I don't know what's going to happen in 4 months. 3 months, I can handle 3 months. Right? So let's work with that. Little 3-month goals. Yeah. So thank you all. I really am grateful that you showed up with me and honored in this way and created your altars for yourselves and for all of us. When you honor your altar in your home, you're activating all of our altars that is shared in that way that we created together tonight. So big love, big appreciation.
Thank you, Indigo.
Big blessings. Yeah.
Thank you, Indigo. It was a beautiful evening. Thank you all that were here
Yeah.
and sharing. The energy was beautiful.
Thank you, Indigo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was
And good night.
Thank
See
you.
you in 3 months, if not before then. Hopefully before then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting now. I love you all. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Blessings.